Have you ever wondered why so many seemingly healthy older adults quietly slip away before reaching their early 80s? Not because of a heart attack. Not because of a cancer diagnosis. Not even because of a major fall or accident. The truth is far quieter. Far more invisible. And yet, in my experience, far more dangerous. My name is Dr. Samuel Hartley. For over 3 decades, I've worked with men and women in their 60s, 70s, and beyond, not just helping them extend their lives, but helping them reclaim the years they thought they'd already lost. Thousands of patients. Decades of research. And amidst all that data, one overlooked pattern emerged again and again. What if I told you the most powerful predictor of longevity after age 60 is not your blood pressure, not your cholesterol, not your daily step count or your gym routine? It's something far more intimate. Something that many older adults have quietly buried, out of shame, out of fear, or simply because no one ever gave them permission to talk about it. Today, I want to offer you something different. Not a pill. Not another exhausting regimen. But a key. A hidden key buried inside your very biology, a source of vitality and independence you've carried your whole life, waiting to be reawakened. Stay with me for just a few minutes. Because what I'm about to share might just transform the way you view aging and your future forever. And no, you won't need expensive medications. No crash diets. No extreme workouts. Just a willingness to reconnect with something deeply human that still lives inside you. But first, if you haven't already, I invite you to tap that subscribe button and click the bell icon. Every week, we share life-changing insights tailored for people like you, those who want to stay strong, alert, and empowered in every chapter of life. And if anything you hear today resonates, type 1 in the comments to let me know you're with me. If you feel something's missing or unclear, just type so. Your feedback helps us serve you better. Now, let's talk about the quiet epidemic no one's addressing. It doesn't show up on blood tests. It doesn't come with sirens or scans. But it steals your energy, shortens your life, and slowly erodes the spark inside you long before your time is up. It begins with this one forgotten truth. The loss of connection to physical pleasure. Part 1, the silent epidemic you never hear about. I've sat across from men and women in their 70s and 80s, their voices soft, their eyes a little dimmer than they used to be. And in those quiet moments, beyond blood tests and diagnoses, I began to notice something deeper. Not pain. Not disease. But a kind of quiet surrender. A sense that life had slowly become smaller, colder, more distant. Over the years, I uncovered a powerful, invisible shift that happens to far too many people as they age. The gradual, often unspoken disconnection from their own body, and from the joy of physical intimacy. It's not something you'll often hear discussed openly in waiting rooms or dinner tables. But it's happening all around us. Quietly draining the vitality of both men and women. Often without them even realizing it. Somewhere along the path of growing older, society whispered a cruel lie into our ears. That touch, intimacy, even sensuality were only meant for the young. That once you cross a certain age, you must quietly close the chapter of your humanity. Many older adults absorbed this message without even knowing it. Some retreated because their bodies had changed. Some shut down because of emotional scars, heartbreak, or loss. And others simply believed wrongly that it was no longer appropriate, possible, or worthwhile. But what most people don't realize is that this kind of disconnection isn't just emotional. It triggers a very real downward spiral inside the body. You see, when stimulation, physical or emotional, becomes infrequent or absent, the body starts to shut down those pathways. Blood flow to essential organs decreases. Neural circuits responsible for pleasure and arousal begin to fade. Hormones that once kept you balanced and resilient begin to fall out of rhythm. And it doesn't stop there. Sleep becomes shallow. Mood dips. Energy disappears. Over time, even the immune system takes a hit. And as the months turn to years, the risk of chronic diseases, heart conditions, cognitive decline, depression begins to creep in silently. I've seen this firsthand. Men and women who once radiated vitality, now walk through life like the dimmed version of who they used to be. Not because their heart failed. Not because their bones gave out. But because they lost touch with something essential. That quiet fire inside. And no, this is not about romance alone. It's not even about a partner. It's about the deeply human need to feel alive, connected, embodied. To remember that your body is not just surviving, it's meant to feel. Pleasure, intimacy, and touch are not luxuries. They're pillars of human vitality. Giving them up because of fear, shame, or misinformation doesn't just steal your joy. It steals your time. But here's the truth that rarely gets spoken. It's not too late. No matter your age, no matter how long it's been, your body hasn't forgotten. And reconnection, even gentle, even small, can spark a powerful chain of healing. Not just physically, but emotionally, neurologically, even spiritually. When you allow yourself to rediscover the language of your body, you open a door to better health, sharper memory, deeper emotional resilience, and a fuller experience of life. So what makes physical pleasure, even subtle, quiet forms of it, so protective for your brain, your heart, and your future independence? Stick with me, because what comes next might just transform the way you understand aging. And if you've made it this far, if something here is resonating with you, tap the number 1 in the comments. Let me know you're with me on this journey. Your presence matters. Now, let's continue. Because what I'm about to share in part 2 might completely change the way you walk through the years ahead. Part 2, why self-pleasure after 60 could be a lifeline for longevity. And why letting go of shame might save more than just your spirit. Over the years, I've witnessed something extraordinary. Among my older patients, those in their 60s, 70s, and beyond, a subtle yet powerful difference emerged between those who aged with energy and those who quietly faded. The key wasn't always in their medications, or their workout routine, or even their diet. It was in their relationship with their own body. Time and time again, I saw that those who remained connected to their physical pleasure, including through solo intimacy, aged not just better. They aged brighter. Now, I know. For some of you, this might sound surprising, even uncomfortable. Especially if you were raised in a culture that wrapped this topic in silence or shame. But here's the truth, plain and simple. Your biology doesn't care about social rules. After 60, the human body faces an undeniable shift. Circulation slows, hormone production dips, muscles soften, and nerve function gradually declines. But regular sexual stimulation, yes, even self-pleasure, has been shown to push back against all of that. When an older adult engages in this act, even without a partner, the body responds in remarkable ways. Blood flows more freely through the brain, the heart, the limbs, bathing aging tissues in much-needed oxygen and nutrients. Endorphins are released, melting stress, improving sleep. Testosterone levels rise slightly, helping preserve muscle mass, bone density, and emotional resilience, pillars of graceful aging. But perhaps most fascinating of all, is what it does to the brain. Neuroscience confirms that sexual pleasure activates multiple brain regions at once, the same ones responsible for memory, emotion regulation, and cognitive clarity. In other words, it keeps your mind young, flexible, and alive. I've seen it with my own eyes. Patients who embrace this part of themselves rather than abandon it return to life with clearer thoughts, renewed creativity, and a more hopeful outlook. But beyond the biology, there's something deeper at work. Self-pleasure in later life isn't just about hormones or blood flow. It's an act of self-recognition. A declaration. I am still here. I am still worthy of care, of sensation, of joy. In a world that often treats aging as a slow fade into invisibility, this small, quiet act can feel like a rebellion. A whisper back to the soul. You still matter. And something beautiful tends to happen next. When people reconnect with their bodies in this way, they often begin to make other positive changes. Healthier meals. More energy for movement. Even renewed interest in social connection and emotional intimacy. Some patients ask me, with a nervous smile, "Doctor, is it too late for that part of life?" My answer is always the same. It is never too late. Your body may take time. It may need patience. It may ask for gentleness. But the pathways are still there waiting to be touched back into life. Now, you might be wondering, if the benefits are so clear, why do so many older adults lose this connection? The answer lies in 3 heartbreaking myths. And they've been stealing vitality from older generations for far too long. Part 3, the 3 silent myths that drain the vitality of aging adults. And how to break free from them. In my years of practice, I've watched vibrant, intelligent men and women slowly shrink into shadows of their former selves. Not because of age, but because they unknowingly bought into quiet, toxic beliefs. These aren't harmless misunderstandings. They're invisible forces powerful enough to convince someone to give up one of the most essential drivers of health and joy. Myth number 1, I'm too old for physical pleasure. I can't count the number of times someone has looked at me, half joking, half resigned, and said, "Come on, doc. I'm too old for that stuff now." But here's the truth. Age doesn't erase your capacity for intimacy. It only changes how that need is expressed. Letting go of this part of yourself is like living in a house but never turning the lights on. You can survive in the dark, but you'll miss so much warmth, color, and beauty. Myth number 2, self-pleasure is shameful. Too many of us grew up in times when solo intimacy was whispered about an embarrassment, or worse, judged as immoral. Those old messages get lodged deep, sticking around long after our bodies have changed. But let me be clear, and I say this with all the compassion I have. Caring for your own body is not shameful. It is sacred. It is necessary. It is one of the most loving things you can do for your health and your soul. Myth number 3, saving sexual energy makes you stronger. This old belief that withholding pleasure conserves vitality couldn't be more backward. In fact, regular sexual activity, even solo, fuels the very systems that keep you strong. It boosts hormone balance, keeps blood vessels flexible, and nourishes tissue health. Just like unused muscles weaken, unused pleasure pathways fade. And the longer they go untouched, the harder it becomes to reignite them. Perhaps the most dangerous myth of all? That sexual health isn't real health. But in truth, they are deeply intertwined. When one suffers, the other follows. And when one is nurtured, the other often blossoms in kind. Breaking free of these myths is the first step to reclaiming a life filled with vitality, clarity, and self-respect. But awareness alone isn't enough. You need a clear, compassionate path, one that honors your stage of life, your body's needs, and your emotional comfort. That's exactly what we'll explore in the next chapter. If these words are resonating with you, if something inside you feels seen, heard, or remembered, I invite you to type 1 in the comments. It helps me know you're still with me on this journey. Now, let's step forward toward something practical, healing, and deeply human. Let's talk about how to reconnect with your body in a way that feels natural, nourishing, and completely yours. Stay with me. The best is still ahead. Part 4, the reconnection method. When I first began guiding older adults back into a relationship with their own bodies, I quickly realized they didn't just need encouragement. They needed a map. A real, practical, step-by-step approach that didn't rely on vague inspiration or wishful thinking. And that's how what I call the reconnection method was born. This isn't a one-size-fits-all regimen. It's a tender process, crafted for aging bodies, honoring the changes that come with time, while gently reigniting the quiet but powerful bridge between mind and body. Let's begin at the beginning. Step 1, create the space. Before you touch a single inch of skin, you must first create an environment where you feel safe, calm, and free of interruption. Set the temperature to your liking. Choose a soft chair, a quiet bed, or anywhere that welcomes comfort. Keep a high-quality personal lubricant nearby, not as an afterthought, but as a symbol. You are worth the effort. Your health is worth honoring. Step 2, slow down and soften. This is not a race. It's not about performance. Begin with deep, mindful breaths. Let your muscles melt. Let your heart rate settle. Feel the tension drain from your shoulders, your chest, your hands like sand slipping between open fingers. This presence, this quiet awareness, is how the door to sensation begins to creak open again. Step 3. Awaken gently. Explore. Curiously, not critically. Touch areas you may not have touched in years, the inner thighs, the lower belly, the chest. Notice how your body responds. Even the smallest flicker of reaction is a sign. You're still here. Your body remembers. It wants to meet you again. Step 4. Intentional stimulation. There's no goal. No stopwatch. Introduce deliberate, unhurried touch. Let arousal, if it comes, arise at its own pace. Use slow movements, savor them. This creates depth of sensation that rushed experiences never allow. And here's the secret. It's not about the finish line. It's about the rediscovery. Step 5. Integration. When you feel complete, pause. Breathe. Thank yourself. Let gratitude wash over you, not just for the experience, but for choosing to show up for yourself. Whether your sensations were subtle or strong, the healing begins in that silent act of appreciation. The reconnection method isn't about chasing the past. It's about embracing your present self with all the softness, wisdom, and richness that age brings. And once you feel even the faintest spark reignite, you'll begin to realize your body still holds more power than you ever imagined. But let's be honest, even the best map can hit unexpected detours. That's why the next step in this journey is critical. Part 5. Overcoming the obstacles. Whenever I guide someone through this process, I tell them up front. True change is rarely a straight line. Moments of doubt, frustration, or even embarrassment? Completely normal. What matters is how you navigate them. In fact, knowing what to expect and how to respond can make the difference between giving up and truly reclaiming your health, vitality, and emotional freedom. Let's talk about the most common pitfalls. Pitfall number 1. Unrealistic expectations. Many people assume that if they follow every step perfectly, they'll instantly feel the way they did at 25. And when that doesn't happen, disappointment sets in. But hear this. Your body has changed. And that is not failure, that is life. Success now isn't measured by speed or intensity. It's measured by your ability to feel again, even if only slightly. Even the gentlest flicker of sensation is evidence. Healing is happening. Pitfall number 2. Inconsistency. Rebuilding connection, like rebuilding strength or balance, takes repetition. You can't expect a plant to thrive if you only water it once a month. I recommend setting aside time 2 or 3 times per week. Not as an obligation, but as a sacred act of self-respect. Your body will respond to that kindness in ways that slowly but surely surprise you. Pitfall number 3. Pressure to perform. The moment you fixate on a specific result, an orgasm, a level of arousal, you invite tension into the experience. Tension stiffens muscles, narrows blood flow, and shuts down the very parts of your body you're trying to awaken. Let go of outcomes. Embrace the journey. Every gentle sensation, every quiet moment of connection, is a victory in its own right. Pitfall number 4. Shame in the shadows. This is perhaps the most silent destroyer. That voice inside that whispers, "This is wrong. I shouldn't want this. This part of me should be gone by now." If that voice arises, don't fight it. Meet it with compassion. Gently remind yourself. Seeking pleasure is not selfish. It's not foolish. It's one of the most human things you can do. Yes, the journey has its bumps. But every time you meet your body with patience and kindness, you strengthen not just your sensual vitality, but your resilience, your spirit, and your ability to heal. And once you begin to build that confidence, once you realize how much is still possible, you may find yourself ready to embrace something even greater. A full-spectrum renewal of energy, health, and emotional vitality, guided by a simple system designed just for this season of life. Stay close. Because what I'm about to share next might be the most powerful turning point you've encountered in years. As we reach the close of this journey together, I want to leave you with a truth, not a motivational quote or fleeting reassurance, but something much deeper, much more real. Your body. Your health. Your right to feel deeply, intimately, fully. Does not expire with age. Yes, these things shift over time. They soften. They evolve. But they do not disappear. Reclaiming this part of yourself is not about chasing youth. It's not about trying to go back. It's about honoring the life that is still here. The strength that's carried you through decades of storms. The wisdom that no book can teach. And the spirit inside you that has never, not once, surrendered. I've sat with men and women in their 60s, 70s, even 80s. Who once believed the flame inside them had flickered out for good. They carried silent grief for the intimacy they'd left behind. For the connection they thought belonged only to the past. And then, something shifted. A single choice. A single breath. A single moment of curiosity. That's all it took for the ember to begin glowing again. And with that small flame came a cascade of unexpected gifts. Clarity. Confidence. Laughter. Lightness. Some rediscovered physical pleasure. Others found emotional healing they hadn't realized they needed. Many simply felt more alive than they had in years. And the truth is, you deserve that, too. But here's the part that no one else may tell you. It doesn't begin with your doctor. Or your spouse. Or some miracle supplement. It begins with you. With a decision so quiet, so personal, that no one else may even see it at first. The decision to believe. That you are still capable. Still deserving. Still here. In every sense of the word alive. Start where you are. You don't need to rush. You don't need to be perfect. Just begin. Maybe that means touching your own hand with tenderness for the first time in months. Maybe it means carving out 10 quiet minutes just to breathe and notice how your body feels. Maybe it means forgiving yourself for neglecting this part of your being for so long. Whatever it is, start small. Start gently. And above all, start with compassion. Because every single step you take toward reconnecting with your body is a step toward a future where you don't just live longer. You live more. More vibrantly. More joyfully. More wholly. You see, the world often treats aging as a slow unraveling. But that story is incomplete. Aging can also be a homecoming. A return to parts of yourself that were silenced or forgotten, now ready to be honored. And maybe, just maybe, the most courageous thing you can do at this stage of life is not to give up on your body, but to begin listening to it again. To stop asking, how much time do I have left? And start asking, what kind of life can I still create? You are not a relic. You are not fading. You are still writing the story of who you are becoming. And this next chapter? It can be your boldest yet. So today, not tomorrow, not someday. Choose to claim it. Choose connection. Choose vitality. Choose presence. Choose you. Because you, my friend, were never meant to simply exist through the years. You were born to live them fully, richly, unapologetically. And it's not too late. It never was.